The Ghana Investment Promotion Center registered over $3 billion worth of investments in 2012, and the country is nursing bold ambitions to position Ghana not just as a destination to do business, but as the hub for business for West Africa. The Ghana Investment Promotion Center has now embarked on a roadshow to drum up investment with a visit to South Africa. CEO Mawuena Trebarh joins us now here in studio. Mawuena, thank you so much for joining us. What brings you to South Africa?
Well, I think there's a clear acknowledgement that Ghana and South Africa have a long-standing history, not just political, but certainly from a commercial perspective. We're very excited about the experiences that South Africa has had on the side of growing and developing business in support of development. And we're looking forward to pushing a Pan-African initiative for collaborations between Ghanaian business people and the South African business community, and that's my intention while I'm here.
We know that according to the World Investment Reports that Ghana is currently ranked 7th in terms of attracting foreign direct investment. Yes. What is driving FDI into Ghana?
Well, I think it's a couple of things, Nazipo. First and foremost, we're taking a very strategic view of investment opportunities. As we've moved into middle income status, the focus is now on strategic investors who can support a long-term development agenda. And so we're seeking opportunities in specific areas of focus to really create tangible results that come from the investment opportunities, but also ensure that the investor has the right sort of experience. And so we're looking very much at creating legislative and regulatory framework that engenders that. And there's a lot of open discussion about our law around investment promotion. It's currently under review. And those are things that I think that the investing community globally and indeed in country are looking at, and it's creating a lot of excitement and buzz around Ghana.
Of course, I have to ask you, what are your priority sectors? Which are the fastest growing industries in Ghana as we speak? Well,
it's obviously, I mean, with the recent oil and gas find, there's a lot of focus on investments in infrastructure around the oil and gas sector. But there's also quite a great deal of interest in the agribusiness sector. Clearly, you know, for an economy that's trying to grow and develop its agrarian side of business opportunities, the agribusiness sector presents great opportunities. There's obviously also the hospitality sector, where we believe certainly South Africa has an excellent story to tell, and potentially very strong partnership opportunities. So the hospitality sector, because as you rightly said, Ghana's really been positioned as a hub for commercial activity and access to the rest of the West African region, sub-region. We're looking at the hospitality industry to really build up the service sector that's required to engender the experience that I keep talking about for the investing community.
Let's zoom into the sub-region as you speak. I mean, to a large extent, many analysts will say that Ghana has been overshadowed by Nigeria as an economic powerhouse. What are you doing to come out of this shadow?
Well, I always say that it's not really always about size. It's about the quality of the experience that you have, the speed with which you're able to respond to the investors' requests, information requirements, so that they can make an informed decision. And in as much as perhaps we may not be able to compete in terms of population size, in terms of credibility and the legislation that works, those are things that Ghana can speak to. The stability of our democratic process. Over the years, we remain unmatched in our sub-region in respect of transition from one political ideology to the next. Our ability to develop our financial services institutions, create sophistication that also gives comfort to the investor, access to power, access to land, those things that are really important for the investor. Creating that experience, letting them know that the Investment Promotion Center is there to hold their hands, walk them through the process, particularly for the strategic investors. This is really what's driving all of the buzz around Ghana, and we're quite excited about it.
And so when we look at Ghana's ability to act as a gateway into the broader region, what are the big avenues that you think that give Ghana that competitive advantage amongst the other West African states?
Well, I mean, I think first of all we have to acknowledge the history that Ghana has had in terms of its stature within the sub-region and I think the continent, gaining independence first, having the opportunity to take a broad view of what it is we want now as a country, making an informed decision that it's not every investment that necessarily will translate into development, and therefore how do we look at our legislation, revise it, have open public discussion that informs the way we treat investors when they come into the country, how we apply benefits and incentives over time and understand what accrues back to the country. The shift is clear. And I think that because we appreciate as a country, and I think this really goes for the continent, that we're really beginning to negotiate from a position of strength. Nowhere else is anyone going to experience the level of economic growth that is being experienced on the African continent. And Ghana has an exciting story to tell. And so these are some of the indicators that are going to allow us to continue to have those conversations with the international investing community, but just as importantly, the Ghanaian domestic business community, and showcasing those big success stories, because there are incredible Ghanaian business professionals who are known across the continent. One individual I can quickly mention is Dr. Sam Jonah, who's well known in South African business circles. There are so many people like him in country. And so our ability to showcase these business success stories and demonstrate that there are credible business partners and business opportunities in the country are really what's driving that.
And if we look at the corporate tax system in Ghana, how is this positioned so that it continues to be an incentive for investors inward looking into Ghana?
Well, I think that the investing community recognizes obviously that government and our legislative instruments are now focused on ensuring that we're able to demonstrate that even as we do apply tax expectations behind investments, there are opportunities to look at waivers that allow it to make it easier for you to make that investment over a 5-year period, for instance. You can anticipate certain waivers in respect of importation of certain machinery. It really depends on, obviously, the kind of investment you're considering. But the tax regime is there not only to make sure that you have the right experience and you're able to facilitate your investment opportunity, but also that government can demonstrate that at the end of that 5-year tax waiver period, there are development initiatives, there are jobs that have been created, and those are the things that I think are giving the investor comfort because they feel like there is an opportunity for win-win. I can see what the internal rate of return is going to be on this business investment, and the country can also see the returns in terms of new economic activity and new opportunities for job creation, etc.
Often a tricky card for investors is the question of empowerment, and we've seen how this has played out in South Africa, and we've seen how it's played out in Zimbabwe as well. Where is Ghana in terms of the maturity of its empowerment policy, and what should investors expect?
Well, I think this is an exciting subject because we've, again, had an opportunity to look at how those experiences have occurred in other places on the continent. For us in Ghana, I think the important thing is to demonstrate that we do have the capacity and the skill sets in country, that as we work with investors, there is an opportunity to look at conversations between the private sector and academia. So it's not necessarily a question of not having the resources in country, because everybody wants to manage their business at a reasonable cost. And so having those conversations to agree on what's required in terms of human resource skill sets is one of the things that supported a lot of investors to say, look, there are strong Ghanaian technical capabilities, whether it be oil and gas, whether it be agribusiness, etc. And again, these are encouraging the sort of investments that we're seeing as we continue to see that upward incline in terms of our FDIs.